Maria Makarova and Laura Aguilar, welcome. Maria is the co-founder of Mentoralia, a nonprofit in Mexico dedicated to inspire girls to become leaders in technology and entrepreneurship. And she has led Technovation to engage more than 1,700 girls across Mexico. So, Maria, that is absolutely incredible. And I know the early years when you were like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I have people and girls are coming and they need this and they're finding this valuable. So, thank you. And Laura, she has been an associate of Mentoralia since 2019. She's been part of the team since 2013 in Guadalajara. And she works at Oracle as a software developer and is currently a principal member of the technical staff. So, Laura and Maria, firstly, thank you, but welcome also.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to
Um,
be here.
I know. I can't imagine how long this association has been. So let's start and say, tell us what COVID has been like for your community.
I think it was difficult last year, especially because as many schools closed, many girls had to leave the program. They didn't have internet and computers at their houses. So we lost many things last year. And even the ones that completed the program didn't have like enough support, and they didn't have enough time to work in their projects because of all the pandemic. So it was difficult. This year went better, I guess.
Yes, I think many girls lost access to computers when the schools closed, and so they couldn't continue. This year we had, I think, some girls attempt to do some Kabul tutorial on a cell phone. And I think one of them reported success, which I was, wow.
I mean, that is incredible persistence. I think some girls joined the live sessions and they were asking, I'm on my mobile phone. Even watching Zoom on a mobile phone is painful. And so I can't imagine how you do coding but that just shows incredible persistence, right? And Maria, I think we have some folks in the little grandma's coding club from Mexico, and they just got so much fire and energy. It's really really cool to watch. So tell us a little bit more about how you have grown the Technovation community. I have watched from the side of how volunteers have really pushed this program forward, but under your leadership, Maria, and so tell us how you have changed and tell us some of the secrets, like what worked, what didn't work.
I don't know. I think it's grown very organically. I have to admit, I didn't start it out by myself. I just had the initiative, but I approached a group of women on Oracle who were already wanting to do something to engage more girls in tech. And we did everything together. I did not speak Spanish very well, but they told me if you want to reach local mentors, it's better to send emails in Spanish because they'll read them right away. So at first, we wrote emails together, we planned the outreach to schools together. So it was really a group effort. Through it, I learned Spanish. Most of it I learned through the Technovation program. And I think it's really been working as a team and letting people kind of follow through with their ideas. Someone said, oh, let's open a social media account. I said, great idea, let's do it. But really, it was the leadership of many people doing many different projects, first in Guadalajara, and then I think mostly one of our members had initiatives to kind of talk about it in conferences. And so then women from other states started approaching me, like, how do I do this? So I would tell them how Technovation works, and we would try to stay in contact. Currently, we have meetings every 2 weeks to kind of plan together and support each other. I think one of the big successes this year was building out our mentoring program, mentoring training in Spanish, collaborating all the different chapter ambassadors from different states to prepare one mentoring training course, which was on Google Classroom. And then we also did a Zoom where we invited mentors from all the different states to join in. And I think that was kind of a great event and great collaboration because we had different chapter ambassadors record different parts of the training, which was the official training you guys put out with some information added specific for Mexico. The volunteers translated all into Spanish and recorded. So I think that was really good to make sure our mentors were better prepared.
I think that's amazing to me that this culture of volunteering. I'm looking through some of the earlier apps, and there is an app I think from 2016 or 15 where a team of girls is talking about building a culture of volunteering in Mexico, and I thought that was so interesting. That this is a I don't know, like how do you build that? What
Well,
drove people?
that's interesting because I hear that a lot, that we don't have a culture of volunteering in Mexico. And I say, what do you mean? I meet
Yeah,
all these incredible people who are willing to put in lots of time and effort to run the Technovation program or to judge or to mentor, because our judges really dedicate a
right.
lot of time, and mentors too. It's incredible. I mean, lots of incredible people who are very willing to volunteer.
Yeah, and I think one of the chapter ambassadors that I interviewed earlier was saying that Technovation is changing the culture of the community where you see the power of volunteering and the rewards of connecting with girls, right? So I think the format of this is you can see. I mean, I get so inspired every time. It's hard work to mentor, but it's very very inspiring. So what surprised you?
What surprised me? Oh, I think this year what surprised me was drastically improved Zoom behavior. When we tried to do Zoom coding workshop last year, we had to turn off microphones, we have to
Yep.
disable them drawing on the screen, we
Yep.
had to tell them no extraneous comments in chat,
Yep.
no unmuting. Now you don't have to take away any privileges. The girls know how to behave, how to ask questions when are relevant, and they can unmute. They write in chat only what's important for the
Amazing.
session. It's
Amazing.
amazing. It's become very
Amazing.
easy to do the online workshops.
I know. I was. We had the coding club session last night, and we had an 8-year-old girl. Um, and I was like, "Oh no, she doesn't have a Thunkable account. This is going to take like 2 weeks to get her set up." But just she was chatting on Zoom and like answering. I mean, and English wasn't even her first language, and so I was like, "Wow, the world has completely changed." Um, So as I was saying earlier, we are just waking up to the fact that we have more than 20,000 young women who are now in college, graduating from college, and actually actively in the workforce. And so we are realizing that young women need much more support. It's not enough to say, okay, you went through Technovation once and that's it. Now your life is all set. So, what are you seeing as support that young women need? Some of your early alums, as they're going through high school, through college, and are beginning to enter the workforce. What are some challenges and barriers that they're facing?
I personally, I think they need to learn about resilience. I
Mm.
mean, some things don't always go as we planned, and especially for women in Mexico, it's very hard to enter the IT workforce. Interviews are not easy. Not in any country, their interviews are not easy. And here in Mexico, a lot of girls don't know English, or it's not that good as mine. But I mean, mine is bad too. And it took me a lot of time to uh, learn to know how to communicate with
Mm.
IT people. It's very different of what I learned in school. So they need to learn about resilience, and in school they don't teach us that, not at all. So that's very important.
I think I think Technovation provides some examples of that, right? But I
Yeah.
feel like resilience is so multifaceted that I think you have to test it in multiple scenarios, right? And I completely agree. Like school is doesn't provide that long term test. Um, and Maria, you were saying that you've been in touch with some of the earlier alumni. What are you finding? Is what are they doing, and what are some barriers that they are facing?
Well, I think every story is unique.
Mm.
I know the alumni who at some point wanted to drop out from studying computer science, and I met with her and I really tried to encourage her to continue, and I'm very happy to see that she's continuing. She's also working part-time for a 3D printing company and mentoring Technovation team this year who were successful. So
That's
it's
awesome.
great to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that support from all around, right?
Yeah, I think role models, seeing, young women, like, that they can visualize themselves becoming, being successful, being in the industry.
They need mentors
And
too.
mentors too. But I think they also get inspired by girls and each
Yeah.
other. And it's kind of great building the supportive community.
Yeah, I think that's what we are realizing, that we have to start adding on this whole another layer of support to our girls, because each country is different. And like you said, Lara, right? Like maybe communication and like understanding, like, okay, you have to have proficiency in English in addition to everything else, right? Like that's a whole another challenge. So how do you sort of mentally get ready for that? So what are some
I think that I think what's very important in Technovation and the mentoring relationship, especially with professional mentors, is that now girls have somebody to ask, like, what do
Yeah.
I need to be able to work at Oracle, at Intel, at
Yeah.
HP? And they can tell them, you need to learn English.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how I did it. And I think that's a very big deal, to have these kind of connections between girls who maybe before didn't know anybody who works in
Right.
IT, and now they have their mentor who they can ask these questions, like what do I need to work on so I can
That's
advance
true.
in this
So
career?
how do we maintain that connection, right? And add to that social network. I think this
Yes.
is something that we can work towards. So Lara, you already mentioned like some of the resilience, but I want to unpack and go deeper into that, because, and I think, Maria, you mentioned the same thing, that maybe, and there's so much research to show that girls and minority communities drop out in like first year or third year of college because they feel this is not for them. So what do you think that um, the support system can look like, to help along these certain road bumps? Because I'm sure, like, okay, maybe one is like interview preparation, but then once you join the workforce, it's not as if like everything is easy right then, right? Like,
Yeah.
so if as an education organization we wanted to plan our strategy for supporting and retaining women, what would be your advice?
Well, in Mexico, there is a big gap, and there is a difference between the public education and the private education. In
Mm,
private schools, uh, boys and girls, they are really well prepared for the world. They learn English, they have computer classes, they even
mm,
learn to program and entrepreneurship. They learn a lot of topics that are not available in public schools. So there is a big gap in public schools. They have a computer class, but the computers in the schools are very old, and the only thing that they learn is about using Word and PowerPoint, and that's not easy a skill that I mean that kids learn that by themselves. They don't need a class
mm,
specific for that. So the schools need to have more classes that are really important for every career, not only in IT. And computer classes are missing from our public schools. Apart from that, there's also the English part. In
mm.
public schools, they don't have an English class. I was in a public school most of my education, and I had to take extra classes for that because they didn't teach us
Mm.
English, and I actually learned after I was 15. So
How did you learn
I
English? Your
huh?
English is very good, Laura.
I went to an intense course for 2 years,
Mm,
like every day, 2 years, 2 or 3 years, because I had to
mm,
go out for a couple of months. And it was good. I mean, I learned a lot because it was every day of the week. But it took me 3 years. And that's a big difference because when you're little, you learn more words, pronunciation, everything. And
and you
that
had to pay separate for the English class, right?
yeah,
Mm,
of course.
mhm, mhm,
I mean, my family was able to pay for the classes,
mhm,
but not all the families can do that, and
mhm.
that's also a big problem. I think so many organizations and even Oracle, like Intel, HP, all these places want to teach girls and boys, and so they have many volunteering programs with small programs similar to Technovation, and they want to help. So they go to public schools and they teach them specific things and specific topics that they will need in order to work in these places. So they are helping, but we still need help. Specifically, we need to change our public education. I don't know
Yeah,
if Maria...
I think that's the socioeconomic problem, right? Like where
It is, yeah.
I think that's what this is at the end of the day, like not enough resources. But I feel like technology is kind of breaking that, right? Like if we have it, maybe we tackle internet access and device access first, and then we can try to. It's cheaper to virtually mentor than to physically go in one place, right? So, Maria, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I like Laura's answer. I think it's very, very true. I guess sure. I'll add. I think the other things that I think in general missing from required classes that are very important. I think once you go into the workforce, is being able to take initiative to say, okay, this is the goal, and this is one way to achieve that goal. Because usually, in the school, the teacher lays out the way to achieve.
Yes.
The homework assignment, and I think these open-ended, like, okay, launch a product, make a video, but nobody tells you what format to use, which program to use. It's all very open-ended, and I think it's important to develop this kind of skills in addressing problems.
That's what the real world is, right? Nobody's going to tell you, and even like in a successful company, the company needs to take the initiative to try to figure out the gaps, right? Like if you're following something what you did 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the company is going to die. So
and I think it's like leadership of the company, but I think it also comes down to the individual contributors that they need to kind of figure out what's the best way to do what they need to do. And so I think that's very important, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like with Technovation, that's the most painful part in the beginning, where you don't have a clear start. Like somebody's not telling you this is the problem that you must solve, and this is what's going to make it innovative, and you've got to sort of figure this out.
It's in general a challenge, and I think that's where the private schools again do a somewhat better job than public schools, because they have more open-ended projects, or like you research to learn about this topic versus we teach you about the topic. So I think I've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, but I like to believe, I'm not sure this is true, but I want to believe this to be true, that people who have fewer resources, they have a sense of some of the bigger problems that more people in the world face. So the problems that these girls pick tend to be ones that have very large impact. The solution may not be the most innovative solution, but it's a very important problem rather than a pet finder or a pet matching type of problem, like first world problems versus problems that affect a lot of people. But I think there's a lot of room for us to improve the resources so that, like you're saying, right, like the public school students have the abilities to ask the right questions and the skills. So we'll go into the inspiration part. So what story inspired you most last year?
Well, one of the things that happened recently that I think behind what motivated me to continue with Technovation despite the pandemic and everything being online is that with everything being online, a lot of, we went into lockdown, everything closed. I think lots of social interaction was, disappeared from the teens' lives. So I thought it's even more important for girls to be able to connect with mentors, even if it's online, but it's kind of small team and one mentor where they can interact and talk and learn from each other. And what really kind of warmed up my heart was when my daughter, who participated this year,
she did.
She didn't want my help with anything. If I tried to offer to help her with, explain something in Tankabo, said, no, my mentor will do this.
Maria, that is awesome.
No. And then I remember one time she came into my room where I was working, her face glowing, so happy. And that was after 2 hours on Zoom session with her two mentors. And I was like, wow, these are incredible women who are guiding her, because she never comes out like that from her school class, just happy and, I think proud of the work she did with them, and also having their support.
That is awesome. Good job. Good job. Good job.
So thank you to all the mentors.
I know, right? I know. Good job.
You're awesome.
Laura, do you have a story to share with us?
I don't have like a specific story, but I do remember last year I saw many teens or many girls that didn't quite complete the program. They just delivered what they had, but still they were so happy because of the things that they made. I mean, they were so proud. And some of them came back this year and their projects were really good. So they learned and they still wanted to participate, even though last year wasn't that good for them. They didn't win anything. And this year they came back. And actually, I think they were back. They are going to participate next year because of the way they are so happy and so invested in this project. So that inspired
That's resilience.
Me. Yeah, it is.
And I think on our side, we are trying to improve the curriculum so that we can actually launch the app on the App Store and get hundreds of users, because that's the real impact, right? Like, that'll be motivating. It's not just enough to have an idea, because you actually want to get into the impacting the problem space. So I think we can speed up the process so the girls see more impact and are inspired, and it's easier to stay motivated. So to slowly wrap up, I'm very, very curious. This is my favorite question usually, because it really has broadened my horizons so much. What is one book we should read to be better human beings?
That's a very difficult question.
Especially since it's one.
Exactly. So just share whichever one that you read recently that it doesn't have to be the one, but just one that you read recently that you thought was good.
Well, one I read recently that I think helped me in some ways is called Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, a professor at Stanford. And the small changes that change everything. And he talks about how good habits should not take 30 days to form. They should just be very easy to do and something you really want to make a change in. And, it kind of, from small changes, you grow to bigger changes. And I think that was kind of a powerful message from somebody who studies human behavior.
Yeah, I will read that.
And I have one more. Can I share one more?
Of course.
Which I haven't read yet, but I listened to an interview. It's called Donut Economics by Kate Rowers.
Yes. I came across this. I haven't read it.
I listened to her on a podcast, and I just love the idea of the way of thinking about the economy. It's kind of what can our Earth support and what are our needs, and we need to be in that donut. Yep,
exactly. I think the focus for the next season is going to be climate. A lot of what the girls are already doing, and I came across that because it's something that as models for you to think about, right? Because climate change is so complex. So we will both read it and we can compare notes. Laura, do you have any?
I have one. I mean, I mostly read books about fantasy. But I do have some books that I have in the backlog that are not fantasy. And the one that I'm really interested in is it's called The Power of No. The author, I don't really know her. Her name is Claudia Azula Altucher. I hope I said her name correctly. But this book sounds really interesting because it tells you how we make bad decisions just to saying yes to everything, and this happens a lot.
That's my problem.
Yeah, it happens in a lot. So, and that's a problem that I think I have. So, I think this is a really good book for every woman in the world.
I agree. I mean, regardless of everybody.
Everybody. Yes,
everybody. Okay. 3 books to add. So what should we be working on with intention this year? Going off of the power of no. I think we have to focus. So what should we be focusing on?
Well, I think one of the things we saw in the surveys of the girls in Mexico is that they want to learn more coding. They want
Yeah.
more workshops
Mm-hmm,
to learn
mm-hmm,
more coding.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's my focus, Maria. So I'm listening.
Yeah, I think that's one of the topics that they really are interested in. And I think also that mental health is important. So I think we should at least focus or create one workshop or something like that, because all these teenagers, they just lost social connection with their friends, their families, their teachers, which are actually a role model to them.
Yeah.
So I think we should focus on that, because
That's a very
it's been a year and it will be almost 2 years. So this will have an impact.
and maybe one more year too, like
Yeah.
especially in India.
Yes.
That's a very good idea, Laura. I'm wondering whether we could even try something at World Summit, where we offer something to the
And actually some girls in the surveys also asked, like, help us like learn how to kind of manage emotions, how to communicate in the team in a constructive
I think that's a very,
way.
very good idea. We can totally do that. So Laura and Maria, thank you so much. This was absolute fun to go back and think about how we started. Maria, I still remember whenever what some after, like in Google's like corridors, we were sitting and debriefing, and things have changed so much. So thank you for being part of this journey. Laura, thank you for raising your hand, and we will continue to do this good work. So thank you, and tune in next week for another session where we're going to do a deep dive into technovation in Pakistan and how it is, what are the challenges on the ground. So thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.